Well, welcome back into the Hit It podcast. This is a super special episode as we get to take a deep dive into something that I don't think has been talked about, at least on the three event side of water skiing and then the other side of water sports, because Brian Grubb joins me in the virtual studio today. He is an adventure athlete for Red Bull, goes all around the world. And Brian, we are so stoked to have you in the studio today. What's going on?
Yeah, happy to be here, guys. Yeah, I just got home from a little trip to the Bahamas. We went over there and got some really crazy waves the last 2 days, and yeah, just home regrouping and planning for the next adventure.
It's amazing because we were actually going to record this a couple days ago. It sounded like you got the phone call, "Hey, Brian, we're going to the Bahamas," and you just took off to the Bahamas and you're already back home.
Yeah, we were actually on another trip over on the Gulf Coast, and yeah, I got a message from one of my friends early that morning. He said that the conditions were looking perfect for like a really big swell over there, and yeah, he's got a great setup over there. So yeah, we dropped everything and ripped over to Melbourne and flew over there, and we were there for about 24 hours, and yeah, got some amazing waves.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. Well, that just kind of gives you a flavor
Yeah.
if you're in the audience of the lifestyle that Brian gets to live. Um, you
Yeah, it's
come to
great.
water sports as a wake skater and competitively wake skating, but from what I understand, there was a little bit of a background before your wake skating career. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was born up in New Hampshire and learned how to water ski with my grandparents when I was 5 or 6 years old and loved it. And we moved to Florida when I was 10 or 11. And yeah, I got into water skiing first, and it was kind of when wakeboarding was starting. But I was a slalom skier first, and yeah, I competed in boys two and boys three, and yeah, skied with Jack Travers and trained with those guys for a long time, and then got into wakeboarding really heavily, like in high school. I had a lot of friends that were getting into it too, so yeah, I was doing that, and then like 16 years old, started working at Performance Ski and Surf, and
Oh,
just kind of
wow.
learning the ropes, of the whole industry, and meeting all the pros, and getting to ride with Parks and Shane Bonifay and Danny Harf and all the pointless guys and stuff. So that's kind of how I got my start. And then yeah, I was wakeboarding for a while, and then yeah, started seeing wake skating guys like Scott Byerly and Thomas Farrell were getting shots in the magazine riding with no boots or anything, and it was just like really intriguing to me. And so I started kind of messing around with that, and it was no one was really doing it except for a few guys, and I was doing wakeboarding and wake skating for a while, and then I just kind of dawned on me one day, like maybe I should just focus all my time on wake skating and see where we can take this sport. And yeah, that's kind of how it all started.
Absolutely. Well, that's incredible. And that for our audience, the background that you had as a slalom skier, training at Jack Travers, even working at Performance Ski and Surf, there's a lot of people that have run that same gauntlet in their career. The
Yeah.
interesting thing about this episode, Brian, way back, probably 2 years ago, we interviewed Sammy Duvall. And Sammy was talking about the Surf Expo. And when he was talking about the Surf Expo in Orlando, and he was saying, it's a lot different than in his day where he was a competitive athlete doing the pro tour, and that's how he basically built his career and how he advanced in the sport of water skiing. There wasn't really an option to be I would say this adventure style. We're going to get the shot for the magazine, or we're going to take the video for social media, or we're going to create a video and almost veer off the path of competitive water skiing or wakeboarding or wake skating. It was pretty much be competitive. That's how you're going to earn a living. And then he introduced this to us, and he's really saying, "Hey, look, wakeboarding has been big on this, and now we have you to ask from a wake skate standpoint, but you have seemed to take a different path than only supporting yourself as a competition athlete in your career. And now you're doing stuff that we're going to touch on in this episode with Red Bull that is completely original, almost James Bond
Hmm.
like, and it starts to blend the sport of water skiing, wake skate, wakeboard, whatever you have, into other sports around the world. Talk to us a little bit about your career path.
Yeah, so when I started wake skating, there weren't too many wake skate events at all. I think wake stock was kind of really the only one. So early in my career, I really pushed the competitive side of things. My dad was a Delta pilot, so I had some free travel benefits. So I used to tag along with Parks and all those guys on the pro tour back then, and yeah, like in 2001, 2002, Scotty Clack would let me do a wake skate demo like on Sundays before the finals, which was crazy. I'd get like 2 passes down the lake just to show people wake skating. And then in 2003, we got wake skating on tour. And that's kind of like what, started a lot of the competitive side of wake skating, which I love. I love competing. I love like riding against my peers and yeah, did that for a long time. And but saying that too, like most of those contests were in the summertime, so we do have like an off season in this sport where I started getting into other sports like bungee jumping and skydiving and a lot of these other things. And then yeah, I guess as time has progressed, I've just tried to put some of those sports together. Obviously, still focusing on water sports, all summer and even through the winter. Um, but yeah, getting time to travel around and meet different crews and different sports, and yeah, everything's just kind of grows on top of itself. And yeah, that's kind of like where my background is now. Where yeah, primarily it's in water sports with wake skating and foil boarding lately, and but I do a lot of like air sports too, skydiving, and got into base jumping with the Wake Base project in mind.
Sure, sure. And that's what's so interesting. And it may have been just kind of the culture of what you had to do to adapt as an athlete in a sport like wake skating, whereas, it's very new. There's a competitive side, and then it almost naturally evolves to where, hey, I could do this. I'm doing this in the off season. Let me see if I can piece this together. It's just a really cool path because you didn't stay boxed into one thing, and it's almost blossomed into this totally new thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I like doing stuff that hasn't been done before, and or just stuff that I haven't done before. It just keeps challenging myself in those ways. And yeah, I mean, you can go out and ride the boat every day and do those things and get your contest tricks dialed and stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was great being in the competitive side of wake skating for so long and help push that whole side of it. And wake skating was such a new sport when I got into it that we were doing a lot of tricks for the first time, and that was like really rewarding for me too. So yeah, it's been a great run. I love wake skating. I still ride as much as I can, and yeah, being able to combine it with some of these other sports that I really love was a pretty epic experience.
Sounds good. And I don't know, can you see my screen where I've pulled you up over the hotel in Dubai there?
Yeah, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, yeah. So this is so if you're a listener out there and you're not following Brian Grubb on social media, stop what you're doing right now, pause the video, pause the podcast, go follow him, and then we're going to watch this video together. So this video went absolutely viral. A lot of times, well, we do something in water sports, it kind of stays within the boundary of whoever's looking into water sports. This, from what I am told, is like one of the most viewed videos ever from Red Bull. Talk to us a little bit about this, and then we're going to go ahead and play the clip when you kind of set it up, and you can walk us through it.
Yeah, so I guess like the whole idea started kind of as just a pipe dream, like, oh, I wonder if you could wake skate and base jump or skydive together. And we started kicking ideas around. And it's kind of a long story, but we couldn't figure out a way to pull it, with a winch or something, having it like out past the exit point and stuff. So we came up with the idea to build a drone to tow us. And I worked really closely with Starlation Productions. My buddy Sebastian, he lives over in Germany. He produced like the first project we did together was the rice terraces, but I've done most of my international Rebel projects with him. So we're always trying to come up with like, yeah, new locations and new stuff that had never been done before. And this was kind of the ultimate for both of us. But yeah, he put a lot of time and effort and money into building the drone. And then once we had that and we were getting tows with that, that was back in like 2017, 2018 was when we had the drone done. And then, yeah, we started, looking for a location to do it. For one, we originally wanted to do it off a waterfall, but yeah, as soon as we saw the Address Beach Resort in Dubai, which was built about 2 years ago, we knew that was probably going to be like the perfect location for it. So yeah, we went over and scouted it like last year, about a year and a half ago, and yeah, I got eyes on it. It's set up perfect for what we wanted to do, and yeah, with Red Bull's connections over there with X Dubai and yeah, Red Bull International, like we started getting all of our ducks in a row to go over there and do it. And I started training with Miles Dasher, who's a Red Bull base jumper. So I basically spent all last year on the road with him. I went to Idaho and jumped the Pine Bridge with him for a week. which I'd done some base jumping before that, but I think I only had about 35 or 40 base jumps before I started working with Miles. And so yeah, I asked him if he would help me with this project, and he was super down. So did one trip out there, and then we did 3 trips to Switzerland to do some big walls and like more subterminal base jumping, which is more similar to what we're going to be doing off the building. And yeah, it was just an amazing experience. I mean, we hung out in Lonnebrunn in Switzerland, and there's tons of exit points over there, and they really cater to base jumping, and all the jumps over there are bigger than the building that we were going to be doing. So we had, lots of time to simulate like a 7-second free fall off those cliffs over there. And yeah, just the training alone was an amazing experience. And then to put it all together in Dubai last December was, yeah, the ultimate project for me.
Yeah, no doubt. We're about to watch the video, and I'm trying to just think of all of the variables that go into this clip, right? You've got a drone that's pulling you, and in fact, your wake skate is attached to the rope, so when you leave the ramp, it doesn't just fly off this building. It, can come down with the drone. Before your entry into the infinity pool on top of the building, you basically, drop onto the board from your hand, and then you appear to do a grab off the top of the ramp, and then you have this spin into a free fall, and then you got to pull your parachute and go land. I mean, all of this in a matter of, I mean, what is this, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds? How much time from the start to when you actually hit the ground?
Yeah, I think it was like 40 seconds from the time I
Wow.
got on my board till the time I landed. So yeah, years of preparation for an amazing 40 seconds.
Well, we'll see if we can pull it up right here, and you can just talk us through it.
Yeah, so we had some crazy weather that day too. So this was actually like in the last 10 minutes of the weather window. But yeah, you can see, yeah, the drone just, yeah, easy wake skate start right onto the board. Yeah, I had Parks there with me. That's Miles there. Um, we did some we did some test runs in the pool the day before, so we had the line already pretty dialed without the exit. But there was really no way to simulate the whole stunt without doing it. So we ended up only getting one shot at it because of the weather. We had some crazy winds that morning, but yeah, just super narrow pool, late cut, and then yeah, trying to get some angle away from the building, and then yeah, we trained for doing the barrel roll off the board, and then yeah, it takes 3 seconds or so to get into the wind where you can control yourself. So I was just trying to be patient, and yeah, as soon as you start flying, yeah, I had good visuals of the building on my left, and yeah, super clean opening and nice landing right to Miles, and that was it.
Well, and what I love about this video, it gives me chills at the very end. I mean, you're pumped up, like you're almost in tears. Like, man, I cannot believe that
Oh
just
yeah.
happened. Look at that.
Yeah, it really did happen so quick. I mean, we stood on top of the building for almost 3 hours that morning, like waiting for the wind to change, and then we got this small window right at the end. And so by the time we made like the call, like Miles did a jump right before me to kind of test the wind, and yeah, his jump went really well. I talked to him on the radio from the top of the building real quick, and he said, yeah, it's all good. And yeah, I think from the time we made the call that we were going to send it to the time that I was on the beach, it was like 4 minutes or something. So yeah, it happened really quick at the end. But yeah, we had trained all summer for it, and yeah, everyone was ready, and yeah, everything went exactly how we planned it, which was great because there was, yeah, definitely some potential there for um, yeah, some danger for sure.
Absolutely. No doubt. And the thing
Yeah.
about that is of what you're trying to achieve right there, you look so calm and relaxed. Parks is kind of at the edge of the pool. It looks like he's got his Red Bull in hand. You take a drink of Red Bull and then you just send it like it was nothing. But I'm sure the lead up, especially because there was 3 hours of a wait time the wind is right, everything's right, we're going to go. Um,
Yeah.
when you drop that board into the water, does the training just kick in and you just go from there?
Yeah, I was super calm. I mean, after we had done some test rides the day before in the pool, so I actually got pulled by the drone in the pool, and then obviously didn't do the exit. But after I got that and I got the visuals of going through the pool and the timing of everything, like I was ready to go at that point. I mean, that was the closest we had gotten to doing the whole thing from start to finish. So, and we knew we were going to have probably some crazy winds that morning. And yeah, we basically had, we got up there at like 5 in the morning, got light at like 6:30, and we had to be done by 9. So we had to make the call by 8:30. But we had like a 13, 14 mile an hour like headwind onto the building. which you don't really want to base jump into a headwind, especially the way that my line was going to be going. I wasn't going to be getting away from the building. I was kind of going parallel with it and trying to get out past the building. So if I would have had like an off-heading opening to the left, it could have potentially like put me in the building. So we really wanted a tailwind or no wind. And yeah, we just kept watching the wind. And then as the sun came up and the desert started heating up, like we started getting some offshore winds. And it was kind of a crazy experience. About 8 o'clock, we see this balloon just come out of nowhere, like floating up from the ground, and we watched it just come straight up the buildings, and it wasn't really showing any turbulence, and it was
Mm,
starting to move out like towards the ocean because we had a windsock down on the beach too, so we could see that it was offshore winds down there, and then like headwinds up top. So basically, as the desert warmed up, it just the winds rose, and there was texture on the pool all morning from the wind, and then it just glassed off, and we just were like, okay, this is it, this is our window.
that's
So yeah, it
amazing.
happened
It's
happened
amazing,
really
Brian, to
quick.
think about the wind, right? Like, I mean, you know this growing up as a slalom skier, right? You're thinking headwind,
Sure.
tailwind. Well, I'm gonna have a tight
Oh
line,
yeah,
loose line, but but the
totally.
wind never has a factor in skiing where it could throw you back into the building. That's a whole new thing.
Yeah, yeah, and there's also there was that part of it too, but also the drone had to fly through the wind too,
Mm.
and we needed the drone to get a solid pull, and that thing can fly in pretty crazy conditions, but we were looking for the optimal conditions to do the whole thing. We didn't want to really take any more chances than we already were, going into it, and yeah, we were patient, and yeah, we got exactly what we were looking for.
Well, what's amazing about this is just one of the things you've done. I mean, like you said, you just got off a trip from the Bahamas. I mean, you get the mission, you go, right? Talk to us
That's
about
right.
your world travels, maybe what's in store for the future, what you've already achieved, and maybe some ideas that you're trying to pull together to see if they're possible.
Yeah, I mean, I've had an amazing career with Red Bull and doing these athlete projects that they do, and kind of like what Sammy was talking about before too. Back then, contests were very popular. Magazines, we'd shoot like DVD movies and stuff. But like as the media has changed in water sports, we've kind of had to adapt into this social media format and stuff like that too. And Red Bull's been on the forefront of that, like shooting athlete project videos and stuff like that. I mean, I think I did my first, the Rice Terrace one over in the Philippines was like my first big international Red Bull project, and I think that was in 2012 or so. So yeah, we've been doing it for a long time, and once that one was so successful, yeah, you just start kind of looking at the world differently and looking for all these different locations that have never been wake skated before, or that you could take our sports into, and Red Bull's just really supportive of yeah, making their athletes' dreams a reality. And we have meetings every year, like where we're trying to come up with the next big project or the next big idea, and they get behind us 100% to make a lot of these things happen. So I've done a ton of really cool projects and videos and stuff with Red Bull over the years, and all my sponsors really. Um, but yeah, I'm always looking for that next place or that next thing that hasn't been done before. And in wake skating has been my primary focus, the last or pretty much my whole career, and still is. But we've been doing a lot of foil boarding lately too. We did a project last year where we did some e-foiling like underground in a cave, and yeah, I'm always kind of on the hunt for trying to foil in big waves, and yeah, another kind of new sport that I've gotten into the last couple of years that I'm just having a blast with, and kind of the same as wake skating. It's like a new sport, so a lot of the things that we're doing haven't been done before, and we're just trying to push the limits and see where we can take that sport too.
Absolutely. And we got an awesome shot right behind you. Is that you coming down the wave on a foil?
Yeah, that's on a foil down in Nicaragua at Outer Reef.
Very
So
cool.
yeah,
Very cool.
trying to
So
get a
talk to
barrel
us
on
a
the
little
foil.
about that. Yeah, because if the foiling, what's amazing to foiling to me is it really opens up the world because that can be something you can go do exactly what you're doing on that wave and have that skill, but then you can also bring it behind the boat. And most of our listeners are familiar with getting out maybe if they're a hardcore 3 event skier, maybe busting out the foil or the wake skate is just something that they do for fun, but they do it behind the boat. But to think you can take that and transfer that skill to the ocean is a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, learning behind the boat is the best place to learn how to foil. I've had a great relationship with Malibu Boats my whole career. They've supported me throughout my whole wakeskate career. And when they came out with Surfgate back in 2011, 2012, they really changed the industry of, building these surf boats and stuff. And, back then foiling wasn't really around yet, but we were wake surfing all the time behind him, and you just have this perfect endless wave behind the Malibus, and yeah, so when we started foiling, it just turned into the perfect training ground to learn how to control the foil, how to ride different equipment, and how to pump around and get to the back rollers. And I did have like a little bit of a surf background as well, but really like my focus and where I learned everything that I've taken to the ocean has all been behind my Malibu at home. So
Wow.
um, and now you're starting to see it. I mean, we'd go to on tour all summer and stuff. We go on the Malibu Just Ride tour and stuff, and you didn't see any boats with foils on them 3, 4, or 5 years ago, but now every lake you go to, you see foil boards sitting up on top of the biminis and stuff. So you can definitely tell that the sport's growing, like in the tow industry. And yeah, I've been really trying to push that side of things. I have a new board coming out with lift foils this year that's more designed for like riding behind the boat that you can also tow in the ocean with and stuff too. So yeah, the equipment's getting more dialed in for being able to ride in those conditions. And yeah, behind the boat, you can use, 1 or 2 different wings that work really good for your size and stuff. But, once you get in the ocean, you get into different conditions. There's a lot of different wings that Lift Foils makes to really like customize um, the ride for the conditions that you're in too. So yeah, once you kind of start investing in foil gear, it's kind of an endless thing once you start riding in different waves and stuff too. But you can really dial in your equipment for the conditions that you're in, and there's just so many ways to foil. You could foil behind the boat. You can do wing foiling with the wing. You can tow into waves with it. There's just a lot you can do, and like you said, you don't need a huge wave to do it. You can do it behind a ski boat. You can do it, behind small waves and stuff too. So it's kind of like wake skating. You don't have to have the huge wake like you do in wakeboarding. You can ride smaller wakes or behind the sea-doos, and you can have a lot of fun on the wake skate. And same with the foils, you can ride in a lot of different conditions and have a blast.
I want to take a quick step back to talk about your competitive wake skate career because you were right on the forefront of when this sport was introduced at the Masters. And this being the spring, we're approaching the Masters once again, as we always do at the end of May. Talk to us a little bit about what it was like to ski at the Masters. Obviously, you're a multi-time Masters champ in that division. I always get to see my friend Brandon Thomas, DJ Drop Top, when I'm there, and he
Oh
reminds
yeah.
me of wake skating. So there's some history there with that tournament with wake skating. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so growing up slalom skiing, yeah, that was always my goal, is to try to make junior masters, and I never made it. I was, I think, a ball or two short trying to qualify for that. But always loved the event. We used to go up and watch it with my family and stuff, and then I did some judging, some wakeboard judging up there, like in the early 2000s and stuff. So I did get the kind of full masters experience as an official. Um, but yeah, never got to ride on Robin Lake. And so when they brought in wake skating, yeah, it was a huge for wake skating, but also for me, an opportunity to try to win, this contest that I really admired when I was growing up as a kid and stuff too. So yeah, Brandon won the first one, and I think they ran it for 8 or 9 years, and I think I ended up winning it about 4 times or something. So
Nice.
it's an amazing experience. Like there's not many lakes that you have the big pavilion right there that you're ride right by the crowd, and you can hear all the announcers talking and all the crowd going crazy, and the whole beach is full and stuff too. So yeah, I love that. I get behind that energy, and yeah, really try to excel like in those conditions, and yeah, had some good runs up there. So yeah, great memories, and yeah, that's an amazing event that I wish wake skating was still in, but yeah, it was a good run while it lasted.
Right, right. No, I wish it was there too. I mean, that was incredible
Yeah.
to watch you guys continue to push that sport year after year from the first time it was hosted all the way to the last time of the progression of it. You mentioned judging, you mentioned traveling. Kevin Michael, our new executive director at USA Waterski. I know your paths probably have crossed and worked together many of times throughout your career. I just
Oh
wanted you
yeah.
to speak to that relationship, and we're so excited to have him on board. We had him on the last podcast, and so
Oh nice.
yeah, yeah, and it was an awesome interview, and so excited to work with Kevin. Tell us a little bit about him, and what do you think he brings to the table to USA Waterski?
Yeah, I mean, Kepka's been a leader in the water sports industry for as long as I've known him. I mean, I think the first time I met him, he was the editor of Wakeboard Magazine. And then we judged together for a long time on tour. I started judging for the WWA back in 2002. They kind of brought me on as a wakeboard judge, and then so I could kind of do those wake skate demos as well. And then we started wake skating on tour in 2003, like I said before. So, but yeah, Kepka was a judge for a long time. So we spent many hours in the boat, watching wakeboarding and analyzing it, and yeah, trying to you know score those guys the best that we could and stuff too. But yeah, I see Kepko a lot. He's a great friend of mine, and yeah, really great ambassador to the sport. And I'm really happy for him that he's working with you guys, and yeah, he's gonna really help that side. He's just super familiar with the wake side of sports and the water skiing side with his show ski background and barefooting and all that stuff too. So he kind of does a little bit of everything, and yeah, he's just a great voice for the whole sport.
Awesome. We're thrilled to have him. Let me ask you this to go back to that first kind of question of taking the competition path, taking the adventure athlete path. Um, it almost seems like your career at this point is an art form, right? It's hard to put it in a category. I can only imagine what happens in those Red Bull meetings when you're thinking of the next idea. How do you view kind of what you do, what you are, and where you want to push the sport?
I mean, honestly, I can't. I don't know if it's like a really conscious decision, like, oh, I want to go over and try this avenue or something. I just kind of follow what I'm having fun with, and kind of what I'm doing at the time. And a lot of times that just one trip or one thing will lead to the other, and it just kind of keeps kind of snowballing. And I've had a lot of great opportunities through my sponsors and through a lot of the friends that I've met to do some pretty amazing stuff, and yeah, go on some amazing trips and do some really cool stuff. But yeah, I mean, I definitely have trips and projects that I have in mind that am trying to work on. But just like the wake base, a lot of them take time and money and a lot of planning and stuff like that too. So you kind of always have a few things in the works, and then yeah, like with the foiling that we're doing and stuff, we're kind of chasing waves and stuff too. So you're waiting on forecasts and traveling at the last minute just to try
Sure,
to time it
sure.
perfectly and stuff like that too. So yeah, I try to keep my schedule open a little bit, and so I can kind of get on these little strike missions when they come up and stuff. Um, but yeah,
So, so
I
like, yeah,
don't have it
let's
like
talk.
I don't have it laid out like super far in advance. I don't know. I just follow the things that I'm having fun with and that are challenging me, and that seems to be working.
I love this term, the strike mission, right? So, like, we were going to record a couple days ago. You get the strike mission to the Bahamas. Like, maybe no one watches the Weather Channel more than you, like trying to find these conditions throughout the
Oh,
the
for sure.
world. Talk to us about this concept of the strike mission. Is that something when all the stars align to kind of pull off this feat or this idea? That's what a strike mission is.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're dealing with weather conditions and waves and stuff, for sure. I mean, you can go to a place and there can be no waves there, and then 2 days later it can be 10 foot. So yeah, I wake up every morning and I'm looking at weather reports and seeing what the weather's doing. I kind of plan my days, especially when I'm home, like around what the weather's doing, what the wind's doing. If there's waves, I'll try to go to the beach, or if it's glass calm, I'll go out on the boat and ride and do stuff on the lake or go skydiving. And so yeah, we're always kind of watching the weather to try to put ourselves in the optimal conditions to shoot content like where it's going to look the best, too, because a lot of the stuff that we're doing now is with social media. You have to film it yourself or get with your friends and film it, and so yeah, you want it to look good on Instagram and all these apps and stuff now. So yeah, we're trying to put ourselves in the optimal conditions at the right time to make it happen, and that's when it's the most fun for us too.
That's a really interesting perspective. Years ago, Freddie Krueger, to break the world record in ski fly to go over 300 feet, I think he went 314 feet.
Yeah.
It looked like he was kind of in the same situation of trying to watch the wind, but the lake and the boat for the most part is static. I mean, it's not moving, and you kind of have to do it within a window. You don't really get the opportunity on that type of endeavor to watch the forecast and then jump onto another lake that may have a better wind, but it does beg the question that some of these records um, are variable with the weather conditions. And maybe if three event skiers or show skiers or anyone listening to this podcast has some of these ideas, I think that really opens up the window of creativity to think a little bit out of the box. Maybe it's not going to be my home lake or my home state that I'm going to break this at. Maybe if I open it up potentially to the entire world, if the conditions are right and I can get there and my body's ready and everything's ready,
Yeah.
I have a better chance. Is that the way you look at it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the weather can help you or hurt you. I mean, I'm sure with Freddie, I'm sure he was looking for a little headwind, just give him a little extra lift off the ramp, and uh and yeah. But if it was too windy or a crosswind, like they won't even probably look at the ramp or like even try to do it. And it's just kind of the same thing with us too. Like you can go out and do it, but you're not going to be able to go the farthest that someone's ever gone before, or do a project like wake base or something, like unless you do have like the perfect conditions and stuff too. So and yeah, some of that's a waiting game, and you just gotta yeah, try to get yourself prepared and in the right place, and then when the weather window opens up for you, you gotta send it.
Interesting. So we watched the video. You're off the top of this building in Dubai, out of an infinity pool, wake skate, go into a skydive. Is that counted as a record somewhere as the highest jump off of a wake skate into a base jump or something like that?
I think it's the only time anyone's ever wake skated into a base jump. I think. I mean, that was the plan, is to be the first
Yeah,
one to
yeah,
to do that and stuff too. I don't know if it's like a world record or anything. It's never been done before for sure.
sure.
But I don't think it's like a Guinness record or something like that. But yeah, no one had ever like ridden off water like into a base jump before too. So that was my dream, was to be the first one to do that. So
Do you
that's
think
pretty
any
cool.
of what you will do in the future will take you to snow, or is it going to be strictly water?
Actually, we did a snow wake skate project in Bosnia. That was kind of the second project I did after the Rice Terrace ones. We were yeah, trying to take wake skating to like all the different environments, like the desert and the snow, and yeah, and these rice terraces and stuff too. So yeah, we did a really cool project. I think in 2014 over to Bosnia. We were there for 2 weeks or so, and yeah, there's like this. Well, you can see the videos on Rebels page or on YouTube, but yeah, we basically built these rails. It was kind of like this valley up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. You can only get in there by like snowcat, and uh, and it was kind of a crazy story. There's basically, we're in this valley, and there's like this small river that kind of runs in there, and we went there the first 2 days, and we built all this rails and built this whole line out, and then it snowed like 4 feet and basically covered everything that we built. So we had to like move uh, up the valley a little further where the water wasn't frozen or covered by the snow, and we basically had to like start all over again. But getting 4 feet of snow gave us like the perfect setup to be able to ride through the snow. Basically, on a wake skate, when you're not attached or anything, you need powder to like be able to like carve the board. And
Mm,
once the snow gets packed out, like since you're not attached, you can't like lift your toes or your heels to like keep the board going. So yeah, it ended up working out great for us to get there, and it was a pretty cool video, and ran some long lines like in it, like starting on the snow, dropping into the river, back up on the snow. We built like a kicker over the river, and did like a shove over that, and like landed on the snow and stuff too. So
very
yeah,
cool.
that was a cool video for sure.
Yeah, interesting too on that point. I remember years ago, and we've had him on the podcast. Marcus Brown was slalom skiing
Yeah,
behind a snowmobile.
that was
Um,
super sick.
yeah, he told us the most painful thing about that was his spray leg actually on the snow. he
Oh,
goes,
I'm
I, s-
sure.
he
Yeah,
goes, I
regular
started
water
cutting back.
hurts.
Yeah, he goes, I didn't really think about that, and then yeah, I was cutting him up pretty good, but
I
it's
think he
just
did
so
that in
interesting.
shorts too, right?
In shorts, I think a
Yeah,
life jacket and
yeah,
shorts.
yeah. That was cool.
Yeah, he was all in. So,
Yeah, that was a rad
um,
video.
I guess some of those ideas have crossed over. And
Sure.
maybe we need to get Marcus together with you. You guys could come up with some
Yeah.
crazy stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I would do it again. It was pretty fun for sure.
Very, very cool. Well, I asked this to all of my guests, and I wanted to ask it to you as more of a statement to finish out. I water ski, or in your case, wake skate because.
Oh man, I wake skate because it's fun. It's a great form of expression. I love going on the boat with my friends and my family, and love getting new people into the sport. And yeah, it's just a great way get exercise and have fun and yeah, be on the lake with your friends.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to give all of my guests the opportunity to give a handoff to where they can find you because Brian, you're all over social media. Obviously, all you got to do is pull up the Red Bull page. We only covered one of the things you've done. There's links to several, and I
Yeah.
encourage all of our listeners to go look at what you have done. But where can people get in contact with you, and who would you like to thank?
Yeah, so yeah, most of my videos are yeah, under Red Bull on YouTube or on the Red Bull page, and then the only social media I really use right now is Instagram, and my handle is Brian K Grubb on there. And yeah, just love to thank all my sponsors: Red Bull, Malibu Boats, Follow Branco, Lift Foils, Sea-Doo, Insta360, and Performance Ski and Surf, where it all started.
Awesome. Awesome. One more question. If there's any kid that's listening to this and they're thinking, man, this is awesome. I want to be what Brian has done and do the things to where he's gotten. What advice would you have for them?
Man, I would just follow what you love to do, and if you're having fun and you're showing yourself having a good time, I think that's like the most rewarding thing. And I wouldn't really encourage anyone to follow in my footsteps, but maybe use me as an example to write their own story and do things that I've never even done before too. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been done, and there's a lot of cool places to do it, and you just gotta put the effort in and get out there and start ripping.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Brian Grubb, thank you so much for joining us on the Hit It podcast. And
Yeah,
I want
guys,
to do
thank
another
you.
one of these interviews in a couple of years and see everything you've done
Let's
from
do
that
it.
point forward.
Let's do it. Yeah, we're not stopping, so we'll have some fun stuff to talk about then too.
10-4. Well, until next time, we're signing off.
All right, thanks, guys.